Hi and welcome to another 3-string cigar box guitar lesson. I'm Sean from Coda Guitar, and today we're looking at a great tune. This was originally written by a guy called Reverend Robert Wilkins, but famously included on the Rolling Stones' Beggar's Banquet album from I think it was the late 60s. And really good sort of driving rhythmical feel, this tune. Really nice sort of upbeat thing going on. It's actually quite difficult rhythmically, particularly on a 3-string. It was originally obviously recorded on a 6-string guitar, and I think it was in what we call open E tuning, but we're still in the standard sort of cigar box G tuning. So just sort of adapted it, just changed the notes to fit this. So before we get into the tune, let's see if we're in tune. So we've got G for the low string, and D for the middle string, and G again for the top string. Okay, so like I said, it's actually quite difficult, this song, so I think I'm going to have to split this into two videos. We're just going to be looking at a couple of rhythmical patterns in this first one, and it's quite a difficult sort of part picking, part strumming style. It's almost got some influences from like clawhammer banjo playing, where they use a lot of down strokes as opposed to up picks. So we'll start with that, and then we'll look at the proper tune in the second video. So what we're doing initially, the melody, just so you've got an idea of what we're playing around, which comes through in the middle of the sort of overall strumming, is high G, and then if we were just playing the tune, it'd be like a hammer on the middle string on the open D. Pluck the open string, hammer on onto fret 2. So we've got open, and then open high G, hammer on, high G, hammer on, high G, and then we could do a trill at the end. So I'll do a little pull off onto the open string. If you're not that familiar with hammer-ons and pull-offs, there is a nice sort of introductory lesson looking at basic fretting and things like that. So I'll just do that one more time. So it's high G, hammer on, high G, hammer on, high G, and then so that's the basic sort of melody that's coming through, the basic riff that's coming through. But the difficulty lies in what you're doing with your right hand. Okay, so to learn this rhythm, we're just going to be playing the open strings to start with, because there's some quite difficult coordination involved. So we've got movement up and down just using your index finger. So this join here, not the knuckle, but the next one down, that's where most of the movement's coming from. So you can give it a little flick on the way back up for an upstroke, okay? So we're just going to be strumming with this index finger to start with. So I've got a thumb on beat 1, and then I'll do a down strum with my index finger, and then I'll go thumb, up, down with my index finger again. So it's thumb, strum, thumb, up, strum. So that's the first half. Hopefully that's not too bad. You might want to try that a couple of times. So 3, 4. So it's thumb, strum, thumb, up, strum. Do it again. Thumb, strum, thumb, up, strum. Okay. Second half is pull, so that's middle finger on high G and thumb on the bass, and it's pull, up, strum, up. So that's all with my index finger, so it's pull, up, down, up. Another bass, thumb, up, down. So pull, up, down, up, thumb, up, down. Pull, up, down, that second half's a little bit more tricky than the first half. But both of them together would sound like this. Thumb, strum, thumb, up, strum, pull, up, strum, up, thumb, up, down, thumb, strum, thumb, up, strum, pull, up, down, up, thumb, up, down, thumb, strum, sorry, thumb, strum, thumb, up, strum, pull, up, down, up, thumb, up, strum. So definitely practice that, because that's quite tricky. It might seem like quite a new way of playing if you're not used to doing this sort of claw hammer style strumming. Adding the melody note in, we don't need to hammer on really at all here, because it's very busy with the right hand, so we're sort of completely filling it out rhythmically. But to add the note in, so we get that riff coming through, we've got fret 2 added there just on that final downstroke of the first half. So it's thumb, strum, thumb, up, just on that downstroke there. Pull, second half, pull, and then up on this down again, fret 2, but I don't want to leave it on. I want to take it off for that immediate upstroke that comes afterwards. So it's pull, up, down, up, thumb, up, down. I could do a little cheeky pull off there at the end if I wanted, but let's just go around all that again. So the second half is pull, up, down, up, off for the up again, thumb, up, on, and then we can do a little pull off at the end. So it's pull, up, on, off, thumb, on, pull off. Let's do that one more time. And so all of that in total is thumb, strum, thumb, up, down, pull, up, down, up, thumb, up, down, pull off, thumb, strum, thumb, up, down, pull, up, down, up, thumb, up, down, pull off, strum, thumb, up, down, pull, up, thumb. So when you speed it up a little bit, it starts to sound like the tune, but some quite difficult rhythmical things going on there. The next part is that we'll look at in this video is just the little sort of turnaround at the end, where we're starting on fret 2 on the middle string, and just stepping up one fret at a time. It's called like a little chromatic run up to fret 5, which is in fact a G. So it's just working its way back up to the G. And if I just focus on the thumb initially, we can do a little hammer on to start with, and then we can do another hammer on. So that's a hammer on from the open string to fret 2, and then from fret 2 to fret 3. I'm kind of running out of fingers here because I've got this this slide on, so I'm gonna actually do a slide here, and then I'll play fret 5. So I'll go hammer on from open to fret 2, hammer on, slide, and then there's a slight gap, so I'll just fret 5 without sort of leading into it in any way. I can fill the gaps between all of those notes by jumping back onto this bass note, which I'm now palm muting again. There's a sort of introductory lesson for finger picking which looks at that, if you want to check that out on the channel if you're not familiar with it. So we've got hammer on, and then 3 bass notes there, and then another hammer on, a single bass note in between, slide, another single bass note in between, and then I'll do a single bass note, and then I'll do a strum here to finish off. So hammer on, 3 bass notes, hammer on, slide, thumb, and then another thumb, and then strum. That's actually into the next bar there. Okay, so I'd probably definitely practice that sequence on its own before we put the fingers in over the top. And so what the fingers are doing is they're just fitting in between. So we've got hammer on, so what I've done there is I've done hammer on the middle string, thumb, middle finger, string 1, thumb, middle string, and that is my index finger, so it's hammer on, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, hammer, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, and then hammer, thumb, middle finger on the top string, hammer, thumb, middle. So all of that is hammer, middle finger, index finger, hammer, middle, middle finger. So that's quite tricky, as is the other bit. So definitely go around that quite a lot. But when you have done that, it actually joins directly onto the first part. The bit that you were just playing before, the main sort of hook. So all of that would sound like this. 4, so hammer, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, hammer, thumb, middle. I'll do that again, so 3, 4, hammer, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, hammer, thumb, middle, slide, thumb, strum. Okay, one more time. So 3, 4, hammer, thumb. So yeah, I mean, it's over in a flash, but there's a lot in all of that, you know. So that is pretty tough. Get stuck into all that, and we'll see you in the second half, where we'll actually look at the full song. But if you can get your fingers, both hands, around those 2 little hooks, then that'll actually stand you in pretty good stead to be able to play the full tune. So hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you very soon here on Coda Guitar.